Good morning, Year 5, and let's begin Lesson 9 of our Destination Reader sessions. We're going to continue to read Coraline by Neil Gaiman. Remember, keywords are in red, questions for you to answer are in blue, and writing time is in green. Before we begin, please check that you have a copy of the story, a strategy prompt sheet, a pencil, and a piece of paper or your home learning book, and press play once you are ready. Coraline by Neil Gaiman. We're continuing with strategy number 3, inference. Have a think about what inference is and why good readers make inferences. Make a note of your ideas on your piece of paper or in your home learning book, and then press play once you are ready. Inference means to read between the lines. If you are making inferences, you are looking for clues in the text to help you understand more. Authors sometimes leave key information out so that the reader wants to keep reading to find out more. Well done if you managed to get this answer. Let's take a look at today's vocabulary. Merciful. Merciful. Which is when you are willing to be kind and forgive people. Serpent. Serpent. Which is a large snake. Ingratitude. Ingratitude. Which is when someone is not grateful for something. Make sure you have a look out for these words as we read today. I'm going to continue to ask you 1 and 2 mark questions. It's important that you look carefully at how many marks each question is worth, and I will remind you as much as I can. Let's recap how to answer 1 mark and 2 mark questions. 1 mark questions need a short, snappy answer. 2 mark questions need a PE answer. That is your point, your main idea that you want to talk about, and evidence, which proves your point. Let's continue reading chapter 6. We're on page 87 now. I will read and you will follow along. We will stop at certain points to make inferences. I'm exploring, Coraline told the cat. Its fur stood straight out from its body and its eyes were wide, while its tail was down and between its legs. It did not look a happy cat. Bad place, said the cat, if you want to call it a place, which I don't. What are you doing here? I'm exploring. Nothing to find here, said the cat. This is just the outside, the part of the place she hasn't bothered to create. She? The one who says she's your other mother, said the cat. What is she? Asked Coraline. The cat did not answer, just padded through the pale mist beside Coraline. Something began to appear in front of them, something high and towering and dark. You were wrong, she told the cat. There is something there. And then it took shape in the mist. A dark house which loomed at them out of the formless whiteness. But that's, said Coraline. The house you just left, agreed the cat. Precisely. Maybe I just got turned around in the mist, said Coraline. The cat curled the high tip of its tail into a question mark and tipped its head onto one side. You might have done, it said. I certainly would not. Wrong indeed. But how can you walk away from something and still come back to it? Easy, said the cat. Think of somebody walking around the world. You start out walking away from something and end up coming back to it. Small world, said Coraline. It's big enough for her, said the cat. Spiders' webs only have to be large enough to catch flies. Coraline shivered. He said that she's fixing all the gates and the doors, she told the cat, to keep you out. She may try, said the cat, unimpressed. Oh yes, she may try. They were standing under a clump of trees now beside the house. The trees looked much more likely. There's ways in and ways out of places like this that she doesn't even know about. Did she make this place then? Asked Coraline. Made it, found it, what's the difference? Asked the cat. Either way, she's had it a very long time. Hang on. And it gave a shiver and a leap before Coraline could blink. The cat was sitting with its paw holding down a big black rat. It's not that I like rats at the best of times, said the cat conversationally, as if nothing had happened. But the rats in this place are all spies for her. She uses them as her eyes and hands. And with that, the cat let the rat go. It ran for almost a metre, and then the cat with one bound was upon it, batting it hard with one sharp-clawed paw, while holding it down with the other. I love this bit, said the cat happily. Want to see me do that again? No, said Coraline. Why do you do it? You're torturing it. Said the cat. It let the rat go. The rat stumbled, dazed, for a few steps, then it began to run. With a blow of its paw, the cat knocked the rat into the air and caught it in its mouth. Stop it, said Coraline. The cat dropped the rat between its two front paws. There are those, it said with a sigh, in tones as smooth as oiled silk, who have suggested that the tendency of a cat to play with its prey is a merciful one. After all, it permits the occasional funny little running snack to escape from time to time. How often does your dinner get to escape? And then it picked up the rat in its mouth and carried it off into the woods behind a tree. Coraline walked back into the house. All was quiet and empty and deserted. Even her footsteps on the carpeted floor seemed loud. Dust motes hung in a beam of sunlight. At the far end of the hall was the mirror. She could see herself walking towards the mirror, looking, reflected, a little braver than she actually felt. There was nothing else there in the mirror, just her in the corridor. A hand touched her shoulder, and she looked up. The other mother stared down at Coraline with big, black, button eyes. Coraline, my darling, she said, I thought we could play some games together this morning, now you're back from your walk. Hopscotch? Monopoly? Happy families? You weren't in the mirror, said Coraline. The other mother smiled. Mirrors, she said, are never to be trusted. Now what game shall we play? We're going to stop and have a look at a question. What is the significance of mirrors in Coraline? For 2 marks. I would like you to say your answer out loud and then make a note of your ideas on your piece of paper or in your home learning book. And then press play once you are ready to continue. I think that mirrors are significant in Coraline because they symbolize a distorted reflection of Coraline's real world. And I've used one of our key vocabulary words that we've covered this week. Distorted. Well done if you got a similar answer. I've used my main point, the word because, which proves that I'm about to use evidence to back up my main point. Let's continue. Coraline shook her head. I don't want to play with you, she said. I want to go home and be with my real parents. I want you to let them go, to let us all go. The other mother shook her head very slowly. Sharper than a serpent's tooth, she said, is a daughter's ingratitude. Still, the proudest spirit can be broken with love, and her long white fingers waggled and caressed the air. I have no plans to love you, said Coraline. No matter what, you can't make me love you. Let's talk about it, said the other mother. And she turned and walked into the sitting room. Coraline followed her. The other mother sat down on the big sofa. She picked up a brown handbag from beside the sofa and took out a white rustling paper bag from inside it. She extended the hand with the paper bag in it to Coraline. Would you like one? She asked politely. Expecting it to be a toffee or a butterscotch ball, Coraline looked down. The bag was half filled with large, shiny black beetles crawling over each other in their efforts to get out of the bag. No, said Coraline, I don't want one. Suit yourself, said her other mother. She carefully picked out a particularly large and black beetle, pulled off its legs, which she dropped neatly into a big glass ashtray on the small table beside the sofa. and popped the beetle into her mouth. She crunched it happily. Yum, she said, and took another. You're sick, said Coraline. Sick and evil and weird. Is that any way to talk to your mother? Her other mother asked, with her mouth full of black beetles. Let's stop again and have a look at another question. What can we infer about the other mother's perception of her relationship with Coraline? For 2 marks. I would like you to say your answer out loud and then make a note of your ideas on your piece of paper or in your home learning book, and press play once you are ready. Let's take a look at my answer. The part where the other mother says to Coraline, "Let's talk about it," suggests that she thinks she can change her relationship with Coraline for the better, because she knows that she can offer Coraline things that her real parents don't. So we can infer that the other mother's perception of her relationship with Coraline is that it is quite good, that she thinks that she can change Coraline's mind. Let's continue. You aren't my mother, said Coraline. Her other mother ignored this. Now I think you're a little overexcited, Coraline. Perhaps this afternoon we could do a little embroidery together, or some watercolour painting. Then dinner, and then if you have been good, you may play with the rats a little before bed, and I shall read you a story and tuck you in and kiss you good night. Her long white fingers fluttered gently, like a tired butterfly, and Coraline shivered. No, said Coraline. The other mother sat on the sofa. Her mouth was in a line, her lips were pursed. She popped another black beetle into her mouth, and then another, like someone with a bag of chocolate-covered raisins. Her big black button eyes looked into Coraline's hazel eyes. Her shiny black hair twined and twisted about her neck and shoulders as if it were blowing in some wind that Coraline could not touch or feel. They stared at each other for over a minute. Then the other mother said, "Manners?" She folded the white paper bag carefully so no black beetles could escape, and she placed it back in the shopping bag. Then she stood up and up and up. She seemed taller than Coraline remembered. She reached into her apron pocket and pulled out first the black door key, which she frowned and tossed into her handbag. Then a tiny silver-coloured key. She held it up triumphantly. "There we are," she said. "This is for you, Coraline, for your own good, because I love you, to teach you manners. Manners maketh man, after all." She pulled Coraline back into the hallway and advanced upon the mirror at the end of the hall. Then she pushed the tiny key into the fabric of the mirror and she twisted it. The mirror opened like a door, revealing a dark space behind it. "You may come out when you've learned some manners," said the other mother, "and when you're ready to be a loving daughter." She picked Coraline up and pushed her into the dim space behind the mirror. A fragment of beetle was sticking to her lower lip, and there was no expression at all in her black button eyes. Then she swung the mirror door closed and left Coraline in darkness. That's the end of our chapter for today, but we're going to look at one more question. Find and copy the phrase that portrays that the other mother is evil for 1 mark. I know my answer is going to be short and snappy. Say your answer out loud and then make a note of your ideas on your piece of paper or in your home learning book, and press play once you are ready to continue. The phrase that portrays that the other mother is evil is "there was no expression at all in her black button eyes." At this point in the text, you may expect the other mother to have some kind of expression, but there was nothing. This suggests that she could be evil, and it also refers to her eyes, which we know gives her a very evil look. Well done, Year 5, that's it for today. We will continue reading Coraline tomorrow, and we will carry on making inferences. On your piece of paper or in your home learning book, write anything else that you could infer from today's lesson.